I trusted my wife completely. Never once did I check her phone. Never once did I question where she was going or who she was with. I believed in her. I believed in us. Until one single message came through and shattered everything I thought I knew about my marriage. I couldn't believe it at first. Not my Willow. Not after 6 years of what I thought was happiness. Not after everything we'd been through together. But the truth has a way of revealing itself, no matter how much you want to ignore it. Let me take you back to the beginning. Willow and I had been married for 6 years. 6 years that felt like a lifetime of memories. We met in college, fell in love fast, and got married young. Everyone said we were the perfect couple. Everyone envied what we had. And honestly, for a long time, I thought they were right. We didn't have major fights. There were no screaming matches, no throwing things, no dramatic blow-ups. We communicated well, or at least I thought we did. We had our routines, our inside jokes, our shared dreams for the future. She still smiled at me, the same way every morning. She still said, "I love you," before bed every single night. She still held my hand when we walked together. From the outside, nothing had changed, but something had. It started with little things. Things so small that I convinced myself I was being paranoid. Things that seemed innocent when they happened, but when I look back now, they were all red flags I chose to ignore. The way she would suddenly turn her phone screen away when I walked into the room. The way she started working late more often, sometimes 3 or 4 nights a week. The way she'd come home exhausted, but somehow energized at the same time, if that makes sense. She started taking more care with her appearance. New clothes, a new perfume. She joined a gym and started going religiously. At the time, I was happy for her. I thought she was just taking care of herself, feeling more confident. I was such a fool. The secretive text messages were the biggest sign. Her phone would light up, she'd glance at it, and then quickly dismiss the notification. Or she'd pick it up, read something, smile slightly, and then delete it immediately. When I asked who it was, she'd always have an answer ready. Just Sarah from work. My mom being silly again. Group chat going crazy. I wanted to believe her, so I did. The night everything changed started like any other evening. We had dinner together. We watched some TV. Everything seemed normal. She seemed relaxed, maybe even happier than usual. We talked about our day, made plans for the weekend. It was mundane, comfortable, safe. Then she said she was going to take a shower. She left her phone on the kitchen counter. That phone that had become like an extension of her body, that she usually guarded like it contained state secrets, was just sitting there, unlocked, within reach. I wasn't planning to look. I swear I wasn't. But then it happened. It vibrated once. The sound echoed in the quiet kitchen. I glanced at it instinctively. Just a notification. Nothing to worry about. Then it vibrated again. Another message. From the same person. The name on the screen meant nothing to me. It was just a first name. Marcus. I didn't know any Marcus. She'd never mentioned a Marcus. But it was the preview of the message that made my blood run cold. Last night was amazing. I can't stop thinking about you. Time stopped. My heart started pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. My hands went numb. I stood there staring at that screen, trying to convince myself there was some innocent explanation. Maybe it was a friend. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe I was reading it wrong. But I knew. Deep down, I already knew. My hands were shaking as I picked up her phone. I could hear the shower running upstairs. She'd be in there for at least 15 minutes. She always took long showers. I opened her messages, and that's when my entire world collapsed. Months. There were months of messages. Hundreds of them. Starting innocent at first, just friendly workplace conversation. Then gradually becoming more personal, more flirtatious, then explicit, then filled with plans to meet, hotels, times, places, photos. There were photos I never should have seen, photos of my wife with someone else, photos that left nothing to the imagination. There were voice messages, where she said things to him that she used to say to me, promises, confessions, intimacies that were supposed to be ours alone. And then I found the ones where she talked about me, calling me naive, calling me too trusting, laughing about how easy it was to hide things from me, making jokes about how I never suspected a thing. Those messages hurt more than all the others combined. I sat there in the kitchen, scrolling through the evidence of her betrayal, listening to the shower running upstairs. She was up there, probably thinking about him, while I was down here having my heart ripped out. I wanted to scream. I wanted to run upstairs and confront her right then. I wanted to throw her phone against the wall, and watch it shatter like my trust had shattered. But I didn't. Instead, I just sat there in silence. I put her phone back exactly where she'd left it. I walked to the living room. I sat down on the couch, and I thought, because I knew that once I reacted, once I said something or did something, there would be no going back. The life I knew would be over. The future I'd imagined would be gone. Everything would change. And I needed to be smart about this. Part of me wanted to believe there was still an explanation. Maybe the messages were old. Maybe it was over. Maybe she'd made a mistake and was trying to fix it. But I knew better. This wasn't a one-time mistake. This was deliberate. This was calculated. This was months of lying to my face while living a double life. She had made her choice. Now I needed to make mine. I could confront her right away, have a big emotional scene, cry and yell and ask why, watch her try to explain or apologize, or blame me somehow. Or I could wait. I could be methodical. I could gather everything I needed to protect myself. Because this wasn't just about hurt feelings anymore. This was about divorce, assets, our house, our finances, our reputation. I decided to wait, not because I was weak, but because I was determined. I wanted consequences, real ones, the kind that couldn't be erased with tears and apologies. She came downstairs 20 minutes later, hair wet, wearing her pajamas, acting completely normal. She kissed me on the cheek and asked what I was watching. I smiled and told her, and she had no idea that I knew everything. The next 2 weeks were the longest of my life. Every day, I pretended everything was fine. I smiled, I laughed at her jokes, I told her I loved her. I went to work, came home, had dinner, went to bed. Normal, routine, safe. But when she wasn't looking, I was documenting everything. Every time she left her phone unattended, I took screenshots. Every message, every photo, every plan they made. I created a hidden folder in my cloud storage and uploaded everything there, where she couldn't find it or delete it. I noted dates and times. I cross-referenced them with our calendar. All those nights she said she was working late. She was with him. That weekend girls' trip she took, he was there too. My birthday dinner, where she showed up 2 hours late, she was with him right before. Every lie had a timestamp now. Every betrayal had evidence. I also found messages between her and her friends. Ones where she complained about our marriage, about me, about how she felt trapped, how she wanted excitement, how Marcus made her feel alive in ways I apparently didn't anymore. Her friends knew. Some of them even encouraged it. They helped her cover. They provided alibis. They were accomplices. I saved those too. I also started protecting myself financially. I made copies of all our important documents, bank statements, tax returns, property deeds, credit card statements. I consulted with a lawyer discreetly, just to understand my rights and options. Every night I lay next to her in bed, knowing what she'd done, knowing what she was still doing. She'd fall asleep peacefully while I stared at the ceiling, processing everything, planning my next move. The hardest part wasn't the anger, it was the acting, pretending I didn't know, pretending everything was okay. Kissing someone who had betrayed me in the worst possible way. But I kept reminding myself why I was doing this. Evidence, protection, consequences. I'm not a violent person. I never have been. I've never been in a fight. I don't believe in physical revenge. But I do believe in consequences. And I decided that Willow needed to face the full weight of what she'd done. Not just to me, but to everyone who trusted her. Everyone who thought she was someone she wasn't. I wanted her to feel what I felt. The betrayal, the embarrassment, the loss. So I came up with a plan. Phase 1 would be her family. Her parents adored her. They thought she was perfect. They had no idea their daughter was capable of this level of deception. They needed to know the truth. Phase 2 would be her friends. The real ones. The ones who didn't know about the affair. The ones who would feel just as betrayed as I did when they found out she'd been lying to them too. Phase 3 would be Marcus. The man who thought he could sleep with someone's wife without consequences. His girlfriend, who had no idea her boyfriend was a cheater, deserved to know the truth. And finally, phase 4 would be the confrontation with Willow herself. I wanted the truth to spread before she could control the narrative, before she could spin it as my fault, before she could play the victim. I spent days organizing everything, creating folders, selecting the most damaging evidence, writing messages to each person that were clear, factual, and impossible to deny. I wasn't trying to destroy her life. I was simply revealing who she really was. I chose a Friday evening to start. That way, everyone would have the weekend to process everything. At 6 p.m., I sent the first email to her parents. No dramatic message, just a simple note. I'm sorry you have to find out this way, but there's something you need to know about Willow. Attached were the screenshots, the messages, the photos, everything dated and organized. At 6:15, I sent messages to her 3 closest friends, the ones who didn't know. Same approach. Facts, evidence, truth. At 6:30, I found Marcus' girlfriend on social media and sent her a message. I included screenshots of Marcus' messages to Willow, proof that he'd been lying to her for months. Then I sat back and waited. Within an hour, my phone started ringing. Her mom first, crying, asking if this was real. I confirmed it was. Her dad called next, angry, confused, asking what he should do. I told him that was up to him. Her friends started reaching out, shocked. Some didn't believe it at first, but the evidence was undeniable. Marcus' girlfriend called me sobbing. We talked for 20 minutes. Two strangers bonded by betrayal. And then, at 7:30, Willow came home. The moment she walked through the door, I knew that she knew. Her face was pale. Her hands were shaking. Her phone was glued to her ear. She was yelling at someone, probably Marcus, demanding to know what happened. When she saw me sitting calmly on the couch, she lost it. She screamed at me, called me every name you can imagine, accused me of ruining her life, told me I had no right to invade her privacy, that I was cruel and vindictive and evil. I just sat there and let her scream. When she finally stopped, exhausted and crying, I spoke for the first time. I didn't ruin your life, Willow. You did. I just made sure everyone knew the truth. She tried to apologize then, begging, pleading, saying it was a mistake, that she loved me, that we could fix this. But it was too late. The truth was already out there, and there was no taking it back. We divorced 3 months later. The process was surprisingly smooth. With all the evidence I had, her lawyer advised her not to fight me on anything. I got to keep the house. We split our assets fairly, but I came out ahead because of her infidelity. Her relationship with Marcus didn't last. Turns out, affairs built on lies and betrayal don't make for stable relationships. Who would have thought? She lost more than just our marriage. Her parents barely speak to her now. They're still processing the fact that their daughter isn't who they thought she was. Her friendships are damaged, some beyond repair. Her reputation in our social circle is destroyed. Meanwhile, I started rebuilding. I went to therapy. I focused on work. I reconnected with old friends. I started dating again, slowly and carefully. I learned to trust again, though it took time. People ask me if I feel guilty about exposing her the way I did. Honestly, sometimes I do. Revenge doesn't heal everything. It doesn't erase the pain. It doesn't undo the betrayal. In some ways, it just adds more negativity to an already painful situation. But silence would have destroyed me. If I had just walked away quietly, if I had let her control the narrative, if I had let everyone think I was somehow at fault, I don't think I could have moved on. I needed people to know the truth. I needed consequences. I needed closure. She made her choice when she started that affair. She chose to lie, to cheat, to betray the person who loved her most. I simply made sure she faced the consequences of that choice. So now I'm asking you, watching this right now, if you were in my position, what would you have done? Would you have exposed the truth the way I did? Sent those messages? Made sure everyone knew what really happened? Or would you have walked away quietly, taken the high road? Let her keep her secrets and her reputation. There's no right answer. Every situation is different. Every person handles betrayal in their own way. But I want to know what you think. Leave a comment below and tell me your honest opinion. Would you have done what I did? Or would you have handled it differently? And if you want to hear more stories like this, real stories, from real people dealing with real betrayal, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because trust me, this is just one of many stories out there. Thanks for watching. And remember, the truth always comes out eventually. The only question is whether you control how it comes out, or whether someone else does.